Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through some really unique sources and pull out the insights that matter, helping you get, well, truly informed.
And today, we got quite a journey lined up. We're starting with something super personal, your health, maybe even dangers lurking in your diet right now.
Right, things that might be impacting you without you realizing. And then we're zooming way out.
Way out to these huge cosmic ideas. Think human origins, maybe even extraterrestrial genetic tinkering, cycles of energy from the galaxy itself.
It sounds like a wild mix, doesn't it? But that's our mission today, to unpack these ideas that seem totally separate.
And see how they might actually connect. What could it mean for your health, how you see history, maybe even, what's coming next.
And we're pulling all this from a really interesting source today, a transcript from YouTube that offers a, let's say, unconventional perspective.
Definitely unconventional. So yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, first up, your health. Specifically, inner abdominal fat. Now, we all know about belly fat, but this source gets really specific about the fat between your organs.
Yeah, and the language it uses is pretty stark. It calls this fat hugely aging, not just about looks at all.
Hugely aging. So what's the mechanism? Why is it so bad?
Well, think about it. It's physically pressing on your vital organs, constantly. The source says this leads to deterioration, speeds up aging.
Okay.
And it gets specific. It can mess with your breathing, pushing respiration up into the top of your lungs because your diaphragm can't move properly.
Right, I can see that. Leading to breathing issues, especially at night.
Exactly. And it even links it to conditions like AIB, atrial fibrillation. That's a serious heart rhythm issue. So we're talking major internal stress.
Wow. Okay, so not just cosmetic. And the source has a prime suspect for what causes this specific type of fat.
It does. It points the finger directly at seed oils. Says they create this particular kind of fat described as a puff-up fatty acid, polyunsaturated fatty acid.
A puff-up fatty acid, what does that mean exactly?
Basically, it's presented as this really inflammatory type of polyunsaturated fat that your body just finds incredibly difficult to get rid of once it's stored deep inside between the organs.
Right. And the source makes a really strong claim about getting rid of it, doesn't it?
It does. It says you absolutely must stop eating seed oils for your body to even begin to release and shed these specific fats.
Must stop. So even if someone gets, say, liposuction.
The source implies that if you keep eating seed oils, your body will just, build that internal fat right back up. It sees stopping the oils as a non-negotiable for this specific problem.
That's a powerful claim. Are these oils easy to avoid, or are they hidden?
That's the tricky part. They're often hidden. The source gives this example, someone trying really hard to lose this fat, doing all the right things, and getting nowhere. Turns out, seed oil was in their breakfast cereal, something they probably never suspected.
Wow. Breakfast cereal. Okay, so it highlights how pervasive they are.
Definitely. In so many processed foods, you really have to be a label detective.
So for listeners thinking, okay, I might have this issue, what can I do? The source offers solutions, right? Not just the problem.
Yes, a few different strategies. First, burst exercises.
Not just endless slow crunches then.
No, exactly the opposite. It describes them as intense, intermittent kind of exercises. Think lots and lots and lots of real fast crunches in a short period of time, high-intensity bursts.
Okay, intense bursts. What else?
Secondly, systemic enzymes. And it stresses these are different from digestive enzymes that just work in your gut.
Systemic.
Yeah.
Meaning they work throughout the body.
That's the idea. Like bromelain, which you find in pineapple, or peptides. They apparently circulate and help sort of target and break down this stubborn puff-up fat, making it easier for the body to shed.
Interesting, kind of preparing the fat for removal.
Yeah, that seems to be the gist. And then there's the third thing, which is, it's pretty unique.
Go on.
The Zapper belt method.
A Zapper belt, like those old exercise bolts.
Sort of, but with a specific technique. You spray water on it, wrap it around your stomach, and it sends these little electrical pulses into the abs.
Okay. Does it just make the muscles twitch?
It's the pattern that's key, according to the source. It's irregular, like maybe a few slow pulses, then a burst of rapid ones, then a pause, then some deep ones.
An irregular pattern. Why?
It apparently creates dynamic instability. It tricks the body, makes it think there's a sudden, urgent need for energy right there. And this supposedly helps target those inner abdominal fats specifically.
Huh. A physiological trick, basically.
Kind of, yeah. To mobilize that specific fat store.
Does the source give any proof this works? An example.
It does share a story. A man, mid-50s, with that pregnant man look, as the source puts it,
Okay.
had serious health issues, breathing problems, AIB, on lots of medication. He started this approach, the enzymes, the Zapper belt, and critically, cutting out seed oils around October and November.
And the result?
Pretty dramatic, apparently. His doctor was really pleased. The abdominal mass was hugely reduced, lost over a quarter of the bulge.
Wow.
He cut off many of his drugs, felt fitter, better muscle tone, started exercising regularly.
That's quite a turnaround. How long did it take?
Well, the source mentions it can take maybe a year for really significant loss, but the progress is steady, continuous, if you stay off the seed oils. That seems to be the crucial factor.
So definitely actionable stuff there for anyone struggling with that stubborn internal fat, a very different approach.
Absolutely. A tangible path, potentially.
Wow. Deep breath. We've been deep inside the body talking about fat and enzymes.
Yeah.
Now we pivot hard.
Yeah, this is where we go from the micro to the macro, and maybe even beyond.
We're shifting from body mechanics to, well, the very nature of humanity, our origins, and our place in the cosmos. This is where the source gets really out there.
It really does. So the core idea introduced here is that humans, well, that we might be genetically modified organisms, GMOs.
Genetically modified. By whom?
The theory points to space aliens. The source uses the term Elohim, which is, a word from ancient texts, often translated as God or gods. But here, it's reinterpreted to mean these specific spacefaring beings.
Elohim as aliens.
Okay.
And they supposedly landed, pretended to be gods.
And then, as the source puts it, mucked about with us in our DNA.
Mucked about, that's quite a phrase. How does this connect to modern science, like CRISPR?
Well, it draws a parallel. It points out that our current CRISPR technology is actually quite limited. It can mainly just burn out a gene sequence.
Burnout, meaning delete or disable.
Yeah, not cleanly insert new genes.
Yeah.
And it apparently causes collateral damage in the process.
Mm.
The source uses the example that it took us like 5 years just to figure out how to attach a spike protein effectively.
Okay, so our tech is still pretty crude in some ways. How does that relate to these supposed aliens?
Here's the surprising bit. The source claims that Elohim's version of this tech, their CRISPR analog, was also not that good. They also primarily used a burnout process, not precise insertion.
So ancient aliens had gene editing tech, but it was kind of basic. Similar limitations to ours now.
That's the implication. And it's a really unexpected comparison, isn't it? Like, maybe advanced doesn't always mean perfect.
Definitely unexpected. So what's the evidence for this whole human GMO idea? The source must offer something concrete.
It points to our chromosomes. Humans have 23 pairs. Most other primates, they have 24.
Right, I've heard that. The missing pair.
But the source argues it's not just missing. It claims our second chromosome pair actually shows signs of this burnout. An artifact, it calls it.
An artifact. Like a star.
Kind of. The idea is the original number 2 gene was deliberately burnt out, removed, and then number 3 effectively shifted position to become the new number 2. And this process left a mark, a damage point, or an extra gap where the original connection was. Physical evidence, it argues, right there in our DNA.
Wow, that's specific. Does it say this applies to everyone?
Interestingly, no. It claims that white people and Asians are most likely to carry the most damage at this specific gene point. And it even speculates that maybe, just maybe, there are unmodified humans still around somewhere.
Unmodified humans. Okay, that's another layer entirely. And this theory then gets woven into ancient stories.
Yes. Like Adam and Eve. The source reinterprets that narrative, not divine creation, but the Elohim taking natives, presumably early hominids already here, and created Adam and Eve using this burnout tech.
So Adam and Eve were the first GMO humans in this view?
Essentially, yes. And it adds details, like claiming it took 7 years longer to create Eve after Adam, using his genetics, the whole rib business, as the source puts it, implying, a lot of trial and error, like a difficult experiment.
A biological experiment, not a miracle.
Yeah.
Okay. Does this modification theory stop with humans?
No, the source extends it to food animals and even plants.
Plants too?
Yeah. Gives this example. South America. A huge bloom of humans coincides with the sudden appearance of over 300 varieties of potatoes.
300.
From a single apparently poisonous ancestral plant. And this happened, it claims, in an incredibly short time, maybe 40 years.
40 years for 300 potato varieties. That does sound unnatural.
Right. Very rapid diversification. It mentions similar sudden blooms for maize or corn and different kinds of wheat, suggesting maybe they were altered too.
Altered food supply alongside altered humans. This leads to some major challenges to conventional history then.
Absolutely. The source directly takes aim at Darwinian evolution, calls it. Well, the term used is horseshit.
Okay, blunt language. Why such a strong dismissal?
The argument is that Darwin's theory left out so much of the evidence. It didn't account for previous advanced human societies or cycles of civilization.
Cycles, what kind of cycles?
The idea that humanity goes through these periods of having great civilizations that then crash, followed by long periods of rebuilding, it claims Darwin was ignorant of the cyclical view and things like the Kali Yuga.
We'll come back to the Kali Yuga. But this challenges evolution, and it also challenges religion.
Massively. It makes the flat-out claim that all of our religions are based on space aliens.
All of them.
That's the assertion. It points to texts like the Vedas, the Mahabharata, the Upanishads, suggesting the beings described in them were these extraterrestrials.
How does it justify that? Just saying the word God means alien.
It focuses on translation. It claims the original words in some ancient texts, the ones we translate as God or gods, well, that in the original language it was simply the name for these space aliens. Like Elohim, for example.
So a fundamental reinterpretation of sacred texts based on linguistics.
Exactly. And the source predicts this kind of reevaluation will cause huge upheaval, considerable consternation, battles, massive amounts of change in your social order. It really shakes the foundations.
No kidding. Okay, so we have humans as GMOs, history as cycles, religion as alien encounters. Where does this leave us now? What are the implications for today or the future?
This leads us to the final part of the theory, connecting all this to galactic cycles and why we might be seeing, well, more UFOs.
Galactic cycles, how does that work?
The theory proposes that these aliens, the Elohim included, originated much closer to the center of the galaxy.
Okay, closer to the galactic core. Why does that matter?
Because they're supposedly habituated, or used to, a much higher level of background energy, certain radiations emanating from the galactic center.
And out here, in our part of the galaxy, that energy is lower.
Much lower, apparently. So to compensate, they supposedly built these huge electronic blisters or bubbles covering large areas.
Bubbles, like domes.
Sort of, yeah. Designed to trap or hold in levels of energy to mimic their home environment, creating their own energetic microclimates.
Wow. Okay, so they need this energy, and this links to their departure. You mentioned the Kali Yuga earlier.
Right. So in this context, the Kali Yuga isn't just a mythological dark age. It's defined as a period when our solar system's position, its angle relative to the galactic center, meant we received far less of these radiations, too little of those rays, as the source puts it.
So the energy levels dropped too low for them.
Exactly. It became too bleak for them. So most of the aliens supposedly left before the Kali Yuga really set in. The Elohim stayed longer, but they too eventually left, maybe around 100 BCE or AD, according to this source.
Okay, so they left because the energy faded. But now?
Now, the theory suggests we're coming out of the Kali Yuga. This supposedly started around the 1700s. We're entering what the source calls an ascending Bronze Age.
Meaning the energy levels are increasing again.
Precisely. As our solar system moves, the galactic center emanations are becoming of a sufficiency again, enough for them.
And this is presented as the reason for their return.
Yes, it connects this change in galactic energy level directly to the increase in UFO sightings. It notes there was a big drop in documentation like ancient carvings or drawings of aliens during the Kali Yuga.
Less energy, fewer visits, less evidence. Makes sense within the theory.
But then post-Kali Yuga, and especially since 1947, that's often seen as a marker, yeah. Since then, the source claims, there's been this undeniable ramping up of UFO activity, accelerating month by month, year by year, becoming more intense and more bizarre.
So our position in the galaxy is like turning a welcome light back on for them.
That's the core idea. Our location relative to the galactic center is an aspect of why we are being visited and why we are attractive to them again.
It's a fascinating, if unusual, explanation for the UFO phenomenon. What does it predict for the future, then?
More interaction. The prediction is, as we go further towards galactic center and further towards the silver and golden age, referencing those cyclical ages again, we should expect more and more and more interaction with UFOs.
And not just sightings.
Eventually, the source suggests interaction with whoever the hell is piloting and owns these things. So moving from observation to contact.
It's definitely an interesting idea, galactic position driving visitation patterns.
Yeah.
And the source feels this theory is holding up.
It presents it as something that seems so far to be holding water based on the observed increase in activity coinciding with this supposed emergence from the Kali Yuga.
Wow. Okay, we have really gone on a journey today from the nitty-gritty of internal body fat and the surprising impact of seed oils.
All the way to alien genetic engineering potentially written in our DNA, cycles of history crashing and rebuilding, ancient gods possibly being visitors.
And our place in the galaxy may be dictating when they show up.
Mm-hmm.
It connects the most personal health choices to the grandest cosmic scales.
It's a lot to take in, isn't it? It certainly challenges you to think differently about, well, pretty much everything. History, biology, spirituality.
Absolutely. So here's something to chew on. If our bodies react so strongly to removing something like modern seed oils, improving our health in noticeable ways,
Mm-hmm.
and if, as this source suggests, our actual genetic code might bear the marks of ancient external modification,
Yeah.
what other hidden influences could be shaping us, our health, our society, our reality, things we haven't even considered yet?
And if we are moving into an era of more visitations, whatever
Mhm.
that means, what does it fundamentally mean to be human if our origins are potentially far stranger, more complex, maybe even more manipulated than we ever thought possible?
Definitely some deep questions to ponder. We hope this dive has given you some new perspectives, maybe spark some critical thinking.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We encourage you to reflect on these connections yourself.